The changes occurring, we can see that there was mass change over the 2014 budget. There was mass reaction here in Australia, and we saw Mr Abbott, of course, his popularity dropped. There would have been 7.5% in the polls, which caused the change of leadership.
Turnbull hasn't introduced new policies. They're the same old Abbott policies, because the policies that are on the table are dreadful, and the things that they want to put on the table are not giving us any joy either. They are a pretty rotten government in terms of governance, as you've been talking about, Ken.
I've got with me right here Jeannie Rea, and she's the president of the NTEU, which is the National Tertiary Education Union, and on my right is Dr. Ken Coghill from Monash University, specialising in governance.
One of the first things that Abbott did when he came in was close down a whole lot of advisory bodies which provide valuable information to ministers to help them make good policy decisions. Now we've got ministers having to rely on private consultants, which is all too frequent, and what's left of the public service, and of course that's been dramatically cut back.
The privatisation really opened the door to these corporations to be able to get traction and foot into owning and controlling very key strategic monetary concerns of the states.
So the effect is to actually weaken the whole structure of government, to weaken its capacity to speak up on behalf of people who aren't powerful enough to take their own voice to government or in the community, and to diminish the quality of governance of Australia generally.
They're trying to promote a debate about that trade union members shouldn't be allowed to encourage their co-workers to join a union.
Well, I mean, that's anti-constitutional, though.
That's pretty fundamental, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we'd have to say it's almost corrupt.
I don't get it. Who are the unions being corrupt with? Oh, well, where are the companies in this? Yeah, well, if there's deals and stuff going on, well, what about the companies? Why aren't they being prosecuted? Instead, you have...
If they do decide they want to go for a double dissolution, it's actually going to be a very difficult thing to win, because they're effectively starting the campaign now. We've had the Prime Minister in South Australia this week campaigning to try and save seats in South Australian seats in the federal parliament. So what we're seeing is a downward spiral where Turnbull is cutting off all of his options, so it's making it a tighter and tighter spiral. And when it comes to the budget, 10th of May or whenever it happens to be, you'll find that there are very few decisions that he's been able to make, and so he won't be able to take a credible policy to the people, whether the election is on the 2nd of July or whether it's later in the year.
And we haven't even talked much about it, but the whole way they're looking at tax is about reinforcing privilege.
So there's a real corruption in the way in which our electoral system is operating here.
I think that's that. They don't care, and that's the only conclusion I can come to.
Well, we know who does care, and that's the public, and the public haven't had their say yet. They're going to have their say at the polls, and it's all in their hands, and we've seen governments tumble and governments fall.
It's GBB, yeah, you know me, rapping the NT streets, down the VIC, rapping it rapidly, attacking all the hip-hop beats. See what happens when you see indigenous MCs rock across the nation, hoping they get overseas, cause it's more than just a dream, plus we do this for our people, defeat for all